Good morning, everyone. How's that? A little better? All right. Good morning. I'm Ginny Castleberry, 5-year member of this beautiful place, board member, and I am your, I like to call it, whoops, did you lose me?
Yeah.
All right. Now can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I like to call it the mistress of ceremonies as your MC. It just sounds a little more exciting. So glad to be here. There are 1 to 2 Sundays a month that we give our spiritual director, Catherine, a little break, right? A little time to spend with her family. And so on those Sundays, we have special guests speaking, we have special MCs, and that's what we're doing today. I wanted to say, did you guys realize that we have a very valid reason this morning to be super annoyed with the entire country of New Zealand? Did y'all know this? Apparently, in the 1800s, some wackadoo named George Vernon Hudson came up with this daylight savings idea. George, what were you thinking? So George is, and he was from New Zealand, George is the reason that you have bleary eyes and a brain that's half working even though you filled it with caffeine. So twice a year we get to do this to our bodies, so thanks, George. And you'll notice George is dead. I just want to say, I think George died of daylight savings. Now, he'd be about 150 years old, but it could be that there's a link there. So welcome, everyone. Do we have anyone who, for them, this is their first time? Woohoo! All right. Let's see. Welcome, welcome. Yay! We like to honor you with a little flower. Looks like we have a Gerber daisy as a way to say welcome and for us to be able to see you and make sure that we say hello to you. I see Bob, who's been coming for years, acting like he should get a flower. Don't give him a flower. Thank you. We got to watch Bob. So welcome new folks, welcome faces that we've seen for quite a while. This month, we're honoring women, not just at Althea, but across the nation and across the world. We're shining a spotlight on women and what women bring to this world. Now, of course, we're all looking forward to the day when we won't need to have a special month because equality and equity will be at a place for everyone that we don't even need to shine a light. But for now, we're going to be part of that. And so this whole month at Althea, we have been celebrating and will continue to celebrate women. And so our special guest, Mary Jo Honeyodis, the Reverend Mary Jo Honeyodis, will be speaking toward that theme. So we'll get there. We also have our amazing friend, years and years friend, Michael Stanwood, who's going to be doing some wonderful music for us today. So we'll get to that. I will ask you to go ahead and turn off your cell phones if that's something that you haven't done already. We're going to have plenty of announcements, which everyone loves so much. At the end, we'll tell you a little more of what's going on. But one thing I do want to make sure you have on your calendars is that 2 Sundays from today, the last Sunday of the month, is our annual general meeting. Happens once a year as the official time for you to hear from your board and from the spiritual director, where have we been, where are we now, and where are we going? So if those are things that are important to you, show up. It is so easy. You just show up for Sunday service like you're doing now, and then you stay after, you have some coffee, which you'll get to do today as well, and hang around for that special annual general meeting. And then we'll get to hear your voice. But what I would like to do now is I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mary Jo, because she's going to get up to give the opening prayer. And our wonderful Erin Weems, Wave Erin, is going to do our statement of being, which is a statement that's very important to us. It lets you know a little bit about who we are. We say it every Sunday. And Erin is also going to sing our song, The Face of God. I say our song, okay, we didn't invent the song, we didn't write the song. But we like to sing this song with everyone. So she'll come up to do that, and then Michael will give us some beautiful music. So what I'd like to do, so that I don't have to keep coming up here, and coming down, is go ahead and introduce Mary Jo to you, and also introduce Michael. Reverend Mary Jo Honeyodis delights in her opportunity to be a life celebrant, helping individuals, groups, and families celebrate significant moments in their lives. She has been a mindfulness educator for over 30 years and is an ordained minister with the Centers for Spiritual Living. The Reverend Mary Jo uses her training in universal spiritual principles and the wisdom of nature to support others during times of change and transformation. And then when you get to see our beloved Michael Stanwood, he is, get this, a 5-time winner of Westward's Best of Denver for everything from his recordings to his performances. He has composed scores for dance, theater, film, as well as for 3 critically acclaimed recordings. He's produced multimedia events for the Denver Zoo, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. He's toured throughout Asia as a musical goodwill ambassador for the U.S. Information Service. And you'll see that he plays a variety of ethnic instruments as well as the guitar, and you'll get to see some of that. So when these folks come up, please give them a warm welcome. First, let me introduce Mary Jo Honeyodis.
Good to see you all. Good to be here. Good to be seen. Because when you're seen at Althea, you're seen as the best that you are. This is a place of light. All right. So let's just take a moment when it's comfortable for you to just close your eyes. You don't ever have to close your eyes, but it allows us to really just focus and settle in the moment. And begin to become aware of your beautiful breath, that beautiful breath. Bring yourself into a space where that beautiful breath is just lifting and releasing. Lifting and releasing. You don't have to tell it to do this. The silence is quite full, isn't it? And we allow ourselves just to naturally and gently breathe. And I invite you now to acknowledge that you didn't have to tell your body to breathe. That there is a power and a presence, a love and a will that's actually breathing you. This power and presence has been called by many names throughout all time, and has revealed itself through all faiths, through all cultures. It's revealed itself as the power of love, power of imperfectly perfect, power of growth, expansion. And because this presence and this power is breathing us, we are never separate from it. We may feel like it at times, but we're never separate from God, ever. Power and presence, intelligence, wisdom, beauty, sustenance. We're never separate. So it's from this unified place that I just speak a sacred word for this time together. That this is a holy time. WHOLY and HOLY. This is a holy time. These moments, these insights, the musics, the reading, this gathering will never happen again like this. And so you are a part of a divine appointment that's happening this morning. May our hearts be open. May our minds be open. May we be willing to be touched by the truth today. We take a moment to bless this beloved community, Althea. The hands and the hearts that have shown so much love to move through so much big change in the last year. Quite a demonstration of what this power and presence has in store for this community every Sunday throughout the week. And as it grows and becomes what it is meant to be. Give thanks for all those who have come forth and prepared the space today. Special thanks to Jason, who worked in my PowerPoint that I gave him 20 minutes before the service started. Miracles do happen here all the time. So it's in this Thanksgiving that we are free to just let this be. To let this truth be as we participate in this divine appointment. We also release. Together say with me, and so it is.
Please join me. Stand as you're able as we go through our statement of being, followed by the face of God. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Well, I brought a few things here. I can't play them all at the same time. We'll just simplify it with an auto harp and maybe a didgeridoo at the end. It's an old Celtic tune.
A reading. The dawn has come. Out of darkness of the long night, the dawn has come. I rise to meet the new day, filled with confidence and strength. I arise and go forth into the dawn, inspired and refreshed by the living Spirit within me. Oh, this day you shall never die. The sun shall never set upon your perfect glory. For I, the lamp of my soul, has been rekindled with the oil of faith, and love has cleansed the window of life with the spirit of gladness. They shall never more grow dim with fear, for perfect love casteth out all fear. I am renewed in my strength through knowing all that is good. I arise, my dawn has come. Praise God.
Thank you. We are here. We are here. This is the second month. Oh, I see, it's the third month of the year. Sorry. Second week of March. And when Catherine asked me to speak, she sent me an email and she said, "Would you be willing to speak on Sunday? I need a Sunday off," which I want to say kudos to her for doing that. And she said, "Would you examine the second wave of feminism and how it interacts with New Thought and the influence of the Eastern philosophies?" I was like, what? The second wave of feminism. First time I'd ever heard that. Oh, by the way, I have to embarrass somebody. My 92-year-old mother is here.
Oh my gosh, woohoo!
She's a mother of 9. And my sister, Eileen, is here also with us. So. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Takes a village to have Mom have the kind of fun she wants to have in her life at 92. But anyway, so second wave of feminism. I Googled it and it's like, it's really a thing. It was really a thing. And it ran from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it was an explosion on the scene of society. The second wave of feminism, as you can imagine, addressed equal rights for women. There was so much going on in the 60s. We were in Vietnam. The civil rights were happening. And the women's movement for laws that supported them in being more equal in the eye of the law kind of dovetailed itself with the civil rights. So I was 3 years old in 1960, and that made me, 17 in 1980. So I actually probably got a lot of this through osmosis, because when I became 18, 19 out of high school, I didn't want to get married. I didn't feel it yet. I wanted to go and explore the world. I wanted to work, and I felt like so many doors were open for me at that time. Let me just read a few things that women were not permitted to do in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Actually, laws began to get passed in the 70s. During this time, the collective thoughts about women were that no woman could be a broadcaster because her voice sounded so shrill. Women made 59 cents to every dollar that men made, and there was even a larger gender pay gap for women of color. In marriage, anything that the woman purchased with her own money still belonged to her husband. She couldn't get a credit card without her husband co-signing for her until 1974, when the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was passed. Yay! Women were excluded from most clergy positions, but not so much for New Thought. Not so much for New Thought. And until Roe versus Wade in 1973, women could not have a legal abortion. And I remember my neighbor, sweet Mimi Evans, who died of an illegal abortion. All hurricanes were named after women because women were considered to be the creators of chaos. Now we have hurricanes and hurricanes. On TV, a prominent physician, there was no name to this fact, famously declared that women were unfit for high office due to their raging hormonal imbalances of the lunar cycle. Jason, you want to give me another slide? One more. Frida Kahlo responded to that by saying this: not fragile like a flower, fragile like a bomb. I remember my first awakening to the truth. I was 19 years old. I grew up Catholic. I grew up in a very devotional Catholic home, and I was very devotional. I loved God, and it was beautiful. But I was a curious seeker. I was just wanted to, and I still am, as many of you are. And I went to a class. My brother had some friends over, and they said, we're going to go to this class, and it's on love. And I said, oh, I want to go. And the teacher said something like, love is all there is. Well, love is an energy, and it lives inside us. And love is why we're here. And that was it. I had an alchemical response to that. That's the truth. That is the truth. That was my moment of awakening, 1976. I was playing women's rugby at that time. It was down in Texas. I didn't realize how much of the, what it would be like. I didn't realize until later what it was like to grow up in Texas as a woman. So I played rugby, and at that time it was new. There was lots of rugby going on. Who's ever seen rugby? You know, these were club teams, so that means they just played in the city, and we traveled to all across Texas, and we went to other states, and it was really fun. Partly I liked it because it was like 8-1, men to women, right? Eight men's rugby teams to one, or two of us, women's teams. You know, I was an athlete, and I loved the sport. And then I realized that we were respectful. That we really didn't have the respect of the men. We were just a spectacle. Watch that blonde run down the field. Wasn't me. I remember being a woman in the workplace, and the phrase, dress for success. Do you remember what that was? To dress for success was to dress like a man. Next slide, please. Pinstripes, and, you know, all the way up to the neck, cover it up all, which might not be such a bad idea, but I love the pinstripes. And I remember my father telling me when I decided to go back to college, a woman with a degree can do anything. Whoa. Now there's 9 of us. I'm the 3rd oldest. And I remember him saying, oh, because I said I wanted to go, and he was like, Mary Jo, a woman with a degree can do anything. And that fueled my whole college education. I found that I loved communications, and that was the degree that I received. And I think that I might have missed some of the things going on in the feminist movement because I had that running in my head, that I could do anything as a woman with a degree. I always look for evidence of the eternal. You know, the movie The Sixth Sense, I might have mentioned this before, but in the movie The Sixth Sense, little Joel, it's not Olstein, but the little guy, and he's in the bed, and Bruce Willis is right there, and he goes, can I tell you something? And Bruce Willis says, sure, and he goes, I see dead people. And Bruce Willis says, when? And he goes, all the time. Well, I don't want to be boasting, because it's not like it's, that I am in the oneness all the time. But I do see oneness all the time. With all of my training, I see the possibility of oneness all the time. So what I did as I was researching, let me tell you something, there's a lot of information on the second wave and new thought, and so this is my 20 minutes or 25. But I noticed three spiritual principles that were alive and well during this time. And these are spiritual principles, and they're eternal, right? Love is eternal. Beauty is eternal. Wisdom is eternal. So these were them. These individuals knew the what, but they did not necessarily know the how. They did not let the unknown stop them. So they knew the what. And if you think about that, that's a very masculine principle. To know what your truth is. What is your truth? What do you know? What do I know? We're all connected. What do I know? We're as humans, we all have similar experiences. So the women of that time, they knew that equal rights just made sense. And that was a truth that propelled them throughout all of their experiences and all of their trials. They had no idea if they could pass a law or not. They knew the what, and they allowed the how. The second one was their what, their truth, was bigger than them. It was bigger than them. It came potentially to them, or maybe they noticed it in their own life, of course, but they knew it was bigger than them. They were in service to the what. They were in service to the truth that they knew. And lastly, they lived in the law of altruism. This is a really good one for women. The law of altruism says that your work is to benefit all. And that whatever we all have experiences of being called to serve. And it feels really good to serve, doesn't it? It feels really good to give of ourselves. And the universe is built this way. The universe is built in a flow that is for the highest and best of all concerned. Here's the catcher, including ourselves. So women have had to overcome in some way, giving and giving and serving and serving and giving and giving and serving until they are depleted. I know this story personally. So altruism says the work that I do, how I serve, how I give, what I'm doing, how I'm influencing individuals, my motivation is to have it be for the highest and best of all concerned, including me. Including me. So next slide, we have Miss Betty. Who knows this author and the book? How is her last name pronounced? Friedan.
Friedan.
What was it?
Friedan. Friedan.
Okay, Friedan. Thank you. I wanted to respect that, and I knew someone would know here. So she wrote a book called The Feminine Mystique. And this book lit the fuse of the women's movement. And let me read to you the words from the first chapter, which the first chapter was entitled, The Problem That Has No Name. Talk about, not knowing how. The problem that has no name. This is in 1963. The problem lay buried for many years in the minds of American women. It was a strange stirring, a sense of dissatisfaction, a yearning that women suffered in the middle of the 20th century. Each suburban wife struggled with it alone. As she made the beds, shopped for groceries, matched slip cover material, ate peanut butter and jelly with her children, chauffeured Cub Scouts and brownies, lay beside her husband at night, she was afraid to even ask of herself
the silent question. Is this all? And as I said, this book was the fuse that united a massive movement. Now, it's really interesting to me because nowadays I have personal friends and family that feel very blessed that they can be home with their children. And the way that parents are rearing their children now is way different than then. And I'm sure this wasn't talking about all women. But to the women that were feeling that restlessness, it woke them up. It woke them up to this movement. Another woman who was a New Thought spiritual teacher of the time, her name is Alice Coltrane. Who knows her? Alice Coltrane? Oh, we could all learn more about Alice Coltrane. She was an African-American woman who was a musician. She played the harp, she played the piano. Her husband wrote music, but she was influenced by the Eastern philosophies. She founded her own center called the Sai Anatam Ashram and Vedantic Center. I believe that's Hindu. And that was in the Santa Monica Mountains. She was very influenced by the Eastern philosophies. Now, Eastern philosophies tend to be very feminine, right? We sit, we're quiet, we listen, we're available to be transformed in that way. She said that she had a meditation experience, and then she felt unified with God from then on. She had no question what her truth was. And she said, no matter what happens in my life, I am free. That's a pretty strong what, wouldn't you say? So going into the second principle, their what was bigger than they were. May I have the next slide? Oh, you got Alice. Look at Alice. She actually is not living anymore, but there she is as her elder self. Beautiful. Okay, next slide. Gloria Steinem. So Gloria Steinem said in a report on sisterhood, if it weren't for the women's movement, I might still be disassembling away my life. But the ideas of this great sea change in women's view of ourselves are contagious and irresistible. They hit women like a revelation, as if we had left a small, dark room and walked out into the sun. So what's happening here is, and you've probably had this experience, when you stand in a truth that you know is this very, very powerful truth in whatever circles of friends or people in life, and people will begin to collect around that because that's truth and it's eternal. So the waking up happens when many of you probably have found yourself in leadership and you didn't exactly know how you got there. You knew a little bit of it, but there was some way with your own presence that you stood strong and stood clear on what you knew was true. And then, of course, once you've got sisterhood and brotherhood and communityhood around you, then this particular truth has a chance to unfold and become something. Mary Manon Morrissey, she's 72 now. She was one of our New Thought pioneers. She's well known for her work on making your dreams come true. And one of the greatest things she says is, if your dream seems too big, it's the right dream. because you're not supposed to be able to, you're not supposed to be doing it by yourself. I love that. And then we've got Helen Schuchman. Who knows her? Nobody. Oh my gosh. So Helen Schuchman lived from 1901 to 1981. She was 62 years old, I believe, in 1962. She was a clinical and research professor, psychologist, so you would call her doctor. And in 1965, she got this very clear dictation that ended up as the Course in Miracles. So the first words that came to her were, hold on, the first words that came to her was, "This is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes." So she's 61. She had, in some of the early messages that she got very, very clear, she was told that this is Jesus speaking to her. She also had a spiritual experience when she was 12 in France. And so she had an experience where she was, infused with the One. Now think about this. You're 61 years old, and you hear a voice. And what if she said, What if? We wouldn't have this body of work. Now, this is. She scribed this from 1965 through 1972. And she insisted that the book not be published until after her death. And so the Course in Miracles became available to all of us in 1981. And that was somebody that Catherine told me to, that Catherine listed. So thank you, Catherine. And by the way, she got restless in her 40s and went and got her master's and then a PhD. Thank you for these women. If she didn't feel like these dictations coming to her very clearly weren't from a bigger source than her, perhaps she would not have participated. And it's heard in New Thought circles everywhere. There is a power greater than we are, and we can use it. The third principle and last one, living in the altruism. That your work is to your service, the call that you have to help and serve and love is to be given with the attitude that that it is blessing, it is the highest and best for all, including myself. And this is from a book called Business Revolution with Ancestral Wisdom. And I'm familiar with the authors of this book. They said, people mistakenly believe that altruism is synonymous with self-sacrifice. That it means we put the welfare of others first to the exclusion of our own well-being. When we don't include ourselves in the equation, this often leads to undesirable byproducts. Hidden anger, self-righteousness, and for many, learning to consider oneself in the equation, this will be their biggest challenge. Do you feel like that has been a big challenge for you? And I'm so psyched that the new generation of seekers, like Catherine, and they're all talking about, anybody want to guess? What's the hot phrase about caring for yourself. Self-care? That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing. Self-care. So certainly this is one of the reasons why, one of the expectations collectively that we had towards what women's roles were. And so that was it was very easy for women to not care for themselves. And so lastly, Shotki Gawain, here she is. She's no longer with us either. She passed in 2018. And she had an example of this through her life early on. She took a class in creative visualization, and she just loved it. And she was also like, really? This stuff, really? What? And the instructor asked her to describe her life in 1 year, and then describe it 5 years later, and then describe it 10 years later. And she had this vision just, explode through her. And the vision had her writing books, traveling, teaching, and that's exactly what happened in her life. She was working with students with this creative visualization, so she decided to make this little baby book, just a little notebook about the process. And then she said she had writer's block because she had a voice that said, who do you think you are? You can do this. So she put it down. And it just came upon her and the students that she said, well, I'm writing this little book about creative visualization. I'm happy to send one to you. Just send me $5. And so lots of people started sending her $5. And the book wasn't finished yet. So she finished it. And from that day on, she was compensated for her work. And she made a life for herself as the vision showed her. Today, or this year, is the 25th anniversary of her bestseller, Living in the Light. So those of us that are sitting here, I want to just, I want to give kudos to the men that are with us. Because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have a good sense of the feminine in yourself. If you didn't have a good sense of listening, a good sense of receiving a vision, a good sense of patience for our life. And it's true. The first saying was, behind every great man is a woman. And behind every great woman, there's a man. Okay. So thanks, guys. And finally, evolution. So this is the first thing I thought about, was today, we're looking back. I'm looking back. I'm looking back to the 60s, 70s, 80s. How old was I? What did I know? What did I hear about all this? And then we have today. And this is a beautiful demonstration about the law of evolution. Now, when I first read this, taking my Science Mind classes, I was ecstatic. I don't know what it is, but evolution is what we see manifest in the world, right? All sorts of science and technology. Oh my God, the evolution going on there. The more we know, the better we do, the more we know. But evolution cannot happen without involution. Anybody got an idea what that is? So I loved this because when I heard the word involution, what I heard was involve. And that's what it is. We must be involved in our life. We must be involved in knowledge, intelligence. We must be involved in noticing, having ideas, putting them out there. We must be involved in the truth for evolution to take place. And we are. We are. We just are. There's no, there's no debating that. Ernest Holmes says, evolution is a principle which, though invisible, finds manifestation in every form of life. It's the logical and necessary outcome of universal intelligence. But it's not its cause. Evolution can only follow involution. I don't know what it is, but I love that word. Involution is the idea, while evolution is the unfoldment of that idea. When I was working in the hotel business, I was in the back of the hall, the heart of the house, I called it, and I would watch these banquets happen. And they'd have like 300 banquet dinners. This company ordered 300 banquet dinners. And only 220 people showed up. And so down the hall comes 80 plated dinners. Where do you think they went? Into the trash. I read just the other day that 40% of everything in the landfill is food. So I just saw on my phone, I just saw it yesterday. I, of course, was crazy because I was crazy about the truth. And I said, this is wrong, this shouldn't happen. How can something, how do we fix this? But there is a company right now, they're called We Don't Waste. They pick up all of these pieces of, all this food from everywhere, and they distribute it to the places that need it. Even child care centers, they distribute it. So a beautiful idea has its time, and it's the involution that moves into, and if it's, the universe is wired to flow in a way that things are good. The universe flows in a way for everything to be the highest and best. So if you're in the flow, you will be guided in the right direction. I have a new trash service called Ridwell. Anybody heard of that? Oh, okay. Ridwell puts a box on your porch. Every 2 weeks they pick up all the plastic that is not recyclable. So they pick up, bags that bread was in. They pick up the King Soopers bags. And they pick up batteries. They pick up light bulbs. Every time they have a pickup, they have a featured pickup. Because they distribute things to other nonprofits. So this week's featured product is canned goods. And that's where I heard about this Don't Get Waste. And it's amazing the network that they have and what they're doing with these materials. Thank God for this generation. Thank God. Here you go. Okay. Oh, not too bad. That's what I meant to say. That's what I did say. Energy is always flowing in the way that will create the greatest benefit for all, including itself. Wisdom is a living thing. It is never complete. It never rigidifies into dogma, but it continues to breathe and grow. So we are going to do the deep dive, and that'll be here starting at noon, I believe. And we're going to tell some stories. I'm going to tell some stories about the moment we first woke up and what we remember. What do we think about involution to evolution? That's what we're going to do in the deep dive. And here we go. Thank you, Jason, again. Pleasure to be with you all today. issues. And what do you think? Sound. Sound.
You have the mic turned on.
There we go. Turn it up.
So technical difficulties happen, and my mic is not on. Let's leave mics alone for a moment, right? Or is it working now? All right. Because one of the important things we do every Sunday when we're together is we pass around the basket. And so first I want to thank everyone who has been supporting us through the pandemic, and especially now as we're emerging. And this is your opportunity to remember that the lights don't pay themselves and the staff doesn't pay itself. We have to ask for your financial support, and so we do that very boldly. So we are going to have our folks with the basket pass that around. Usually it's nice to have a little bit of music, but I think, again, we're having issues with our tech. So we'll just start passing that now. So where you can, give there. There's also new tech ways to give. You can give on our website. In the back of the sanctuary, we have what's called a dip jar. If you have a credit card, and that's everybody here, you can dip your credit card each time you do. It's going to take a little bit for Althea. So thank you for that. And we're going to try to see if we can get this video going because it looks really cool. I was watching it before service started, and so we really want to try to hear it and see it. If we can't, we will move on, I promise. How loud is that for y'all? Not enough.
She's that woman, that 1 in a million woman, that 1 in 4 billion woman, that half the population, but you might not know it, woman, that don't need you to tell me.
I'm still thinking you can't hear that, right?
Treated like a queen woman. She's that woman. That's the one like you were. That's so much deeper than what you see. That's mother of career, mother of
In a prayer for our offering.
choice will always have a voice, woman. That don't need you to solve it. Just listen, woman. That she doesn't sweat. She listens, woman. She's that woman. That
Mother, Father, God, the divine infinite source that is all. It is in gratitude that we welcome all people, including all views, cultures, genders, races, religions, and creeds that share our journey of community, tolerance, and connection. Therefore, we offer our gifts with deep compassion to the sacred work that is this center, awakening to the spirit of oneness in all. Amen.
I don't think we'll need a microphone for this. It was a wonderful talk, and it reminded me that in the Aborigine culture, only men played the didgeridoo. But that being said, three of the greatest players that I've met over the years and teachers have been women didgeridoo players, and one in France, one in New York, one in Hawaii. Anyways, that's just a little bit of my experience.
I am exhausted. I can't imagine what it is like to play that instrument. Thank you, Michael. So another service comes to a close as we wrap up. There are a few announcements that I want to make, and then at the end we'll have Mary Jo come back up to do a closing prayer, and Daryl will lead us in a final song together. And then I would encourage everyone to have some coffee or tea or water with us in the dining room. And I'll let you know that we, the board, are meeting this week, and one of the things that I will be a proponent of is moving back to normal. Maybe these masks get to come off for real. Since this is happening all over Denver and our numbers are coming down. Maybe eating in the dining room will become a thing again, right? How cool will that be? It's a huge part of who we are. So let's see what happens. I don't want to make promises I can't keep. But I can tell you, be sure to put Easter Sunday on your calendar as well. We have our friends, the Queen City Jazz Band, who have been with us for over 20 years. We're going to be up here. And wow, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had Easter dinner or lunch, I guess technically is what it would be, brunch together. So start putting that on your calendar. Also, next Sunday is a gong bath. How many people have never heard of a gong bath? Don't even know what it is. You don't show up naked. So Bob, let's try to put that out of our memories that Sunday that you did. I'm picking on Bob. A gong bath is something akin to what you just heard with that didgeridoo, except great big gongs that are played up here by a wonderful gentleman named Greg Wilkins, who does this every month, and you are bathed in the vibration and sound of these huge, amazing gongs. It is super cool. If you sign up early, it's a little bit cheaper. So go to our website, sign up for that next Sunday. It happens after service. Let's see what else we have going on. I've told you about Easter. I've mentioned that our last Sunday of the month is our annual general meeting. Roll out for that. Tell us what you think about the way things are going. We want your input. Volunteers keep us going just as importantly as your financial contributions do. So Sarma, raise your hand. Where are you, girl? There she is in the back. She's the queen of volunteers, the mistress of volunteers. And especially as we're coming back online and back alive on Sundays, we need help for that. Things like coffee and food. We're going to need your help, especially on Sundays, but there are also roles you can play outside of Sundays. So let her know if you are interested in doing that. The people you saw reading, the people you see greeting, those are all volunteers. So we need you there. We also have something every Sunday called Prayer Partners. Prayer Partners for those who believe that an affirmative prayer can help. Rick, you're doing it today, so Rick Kitzman, raise your hand again. What this means is if you feel that you want a little extra oomph and help around prayer, Rick will guide you through an amazing session to help manifest some of that. That's what our prayer partners are about, and he can tell you more about that whole process, so that always happens. Those are the things I can think of. What's that? Besides throwing pens around, is there anything else that I have left besides a huge thank you? First of all, thank you, Mary Jo Honey-Otis, for your amazing message. Thank you, Michael Stanwood, for bringing us music. For everyone who makes Sunday happen. Jason, God love him. Goddess love him for trying to get that sound going. What I'm going to recommend is after we wrap up with our community song, that Jason gets to try to get that going again. And you can hear that while we're getting our coffee ready. But do join us for coffee. Anything else? Anything? All right, and a big thank you to the folks who came for the first time. We love you. Keep coming back. Bring your friends and neighbors. And I would like to, again, I am Ginny Castleberry, and I would like to bring up Miss Mary Jo Honey-Otis one last time.
For the people. Prayers for the people.
Oh, yes, we need prayers. So one thing we like to do, this is a new thing that we're doing, is if anyone would like to, from the audience, we've got a microphone, mention a prayer, something that they want to bring up. You can imagine Ukraine has been in our hearts the last couple of weeks. I brought up COVID, wanting COVID to end, and it happened. Just want to say how powerful I am, if you hadn't noticed. So do we have anyone who would like to raise their hand and say a special prayer? This could be for you too. This doesn't have to be for the whole world. Anybody? Don't be shy.
I could pick somebody.
Oh, wait. Thank you. A prayer of gratitude for everybody here in the beautiful community. Thank you, Barbara Test. Anyone? Oh. Dick Peterson.
Caught me there. One thing I've been feeling a lot is how much we love each other and how much I forget to say that to everybody. So I pass that on to you. And thank you, Rick. That's one of the first thanks I ever did to you.
There we go. Thank you, Rick, and for all of us for loving each other. You can't get more basic than that. Yes, sir.
I would just like to pray in the spirit of the sermon today for the women who shaped my life and how much I have a deeper appreciation because of your words today. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh. Mark Upshaw? Yes? No? Maybe?
Somehow Rick Peterson knew that I had some thoughts. So I think we're all feeling this. I am very closely and very dear to my heart as for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, but also for the Russian soldiers who are also victims, I think.
Good point.
So I'm just trying to every day hold those people in my heart and ask for something better to happen.
Thank you, Mark. Very good.
That's great.
Oh,
In the same spirit, I'd like to pray that we come out of COVID to a world at peace.
I love it. No? Oh, one more.
In the spirit of celebrating women, I would like to lift up in prayer. I have my daughter who just announced that she's pregnant. And my son's wife is also pregnant. So just lifting up the women that do the glorious job of giving birth, which is so wonderful. And I think Mother wants to say something. Mom?
I know what that's all about with 9 kids.
Thank you. Well, you guys were chatting. You were chatting. All right. We are going to wrap it up. And again, meet us for coffee afterwards. Thank you so much.
Catherine asked me if I wanted to do the closing prayer, and I said, absolutely. I love to pray. We love to pray. Oh, dear. So we come back accompanied by this soulful music. Music takes us on a journey into the center. We say yes inside to all those prayer requests, prayers of the people. And we just give thanks for this day. And I want to especially acknowledge this community of Althea. Anyone that can look back at the feminists, the second wave of feminism, and have some thoughts about, I was there, I wanted the same thing, I've given my life to this or that. I want you to know that you planted seeds. We're always planting seeds. You planted seeds that we are now seeing made manifest. These bright young people. So we just give thanks for the truth. We give thanks for the what. We give thanks for our ability to be about the what and trust that power and presence with the how. We give thanks for knowing that whatever we're going through, whatever we're doing, creating, dealing with, we're not alone. There's a power greater than that, right in the center. And finally, we give thanks for the opportunity to live in an altruistic world, where we stay in the flow of what the universe already does. It already moves to the highest and best of all, including ourselves. May these principles be alive in us. May we see the miracles and notice unlike ever before how beautiful and how essential we are to the truth. And in this Thanksgiving, we know that it's been done because we're giving thanks for it. We just rest in that thanksgiving. And just as the birds are flying in the trees and the eagle wafts through the air with its vision, it's easy for us to just let this be and let it go. And I'm going to ask for a big old love blast to be sent right now to President Vladimir Putin. Big love blast. A big love blast. And may that continue. And so we let it be, and please join me in saying, and so it is.
Good morning. Please stand as you're able and join me in Imagine by John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one, as one. Imagine no possessions. It's easy if you can.
no need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Thank you.
That may be too young or almost run out of time. that ask you directly, ballsy, outspoken, fearless woman that put you in your place with my voice, shine bright like a diamond, and make you feel alright.